Good morning, doctors. Welcome again. Today we are going to discuss about mitral stenosis. Okay, far and away, primary cause is rheumatic fever. The most common cause of mitral stenosis is rheumatic fever, which is secondary to an untreated group A beta hemolyticus streptococcus infection, usually pharyngitis. Calcification of the mitral valve impeded flow, classically associated with pregnancy, as the murmur is here better in a high volume state. Also immigrants. In immigrants we can see left atrial pressure increases, left atrial dilatation and left atrial fibrillation and hoarseness or Altman sign. Altman signs. Flow from left atrium decreases. Flow from left atrium decreases, which causes stasis, then embolus formation. Murmur will be diastolic. Blood flows through stenotic wall during diastole. Here the murmur is diastolic. During diastole, heart relaxes due to valves are not able to open completely. That's why during the time of opening of mitral and tricuspid valve, we listen a murmur. We listen a murmur that is diastolic. During the closure, when the wall is closed, so wall is not able to completely close, that is partially closed, murmur will be diastolic. Blood flows through the stenotic wall during diastole. What is the work of wall during the time of diastole? When heart relaxes, mitral and tricuspid valves are open. Valves are open, and during contraction, aortic and pulmonary valve open. Okay, so here due to stenosis, wall is calcified. Valves are calcified mitral valves, so they are not able to open properly. The valves are not able to open properly. That's why during the time of diastole or relaxation, the murmur occurs. The murmur occurs because the less blood enters in a left ventricle, but the back pressure in a left atrium increases. Okay. Mitral stenosis. In mitral stenosis, we have to rule out the history. Firstly, rheumatic fever. If patient is pregnant, patient is immigrant, or prior untreated group A beta hemolyticus pyogen infection. Okay, symptoms we see shortness of breath. Why? Because left atrium is enlarged due to high pressure, and it causes dyspnea due to pressure increase in pulmonary vein, fatigue, hemoptysis, hoarseness. Okay, patient has diastolic murmur appreciated best at apex fifth intercostal space, mid clavicular line. We listen diastolic murmur. The initial test is echocardiogram. Order also an EKG. In EKG, we see right ventricular hypertrophy and atrial fibrillation, AFib. Okay. Treatment is reduction of preload reduction by hypovolemia, low sodium and diuretics. Okay, dehydration also load causes tachycardia sometime, as we discussed there. So preload reduction by sodium restricted diet or by diuretics, furosemides. Okay, it eliminates sodium also. If atrial fibrillation present, we do EKG. On EKG, we see atrial fibrillation. So treatment by digoxin and warfarin. Treatment here is by digoxin and warfarin. Surgery after maximal medical treatment option includes balloon valvoplasty or valve replacement. Balloon valvoplasty and valve replacement. This balloon valvoplasty is a treatment of choice in pregnancy when their conservative treatment is failed in mitral stenosis and does not require antibiotic prophylaxis. Here the antibiotic prophylaxis is not required So guys, I hope it's clear why hoarseness of voice. I will explain you. Let's see this diagram. This is right atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. So in and appropriate pathology of left recurrent laryngeal nerve, and in between this is left recurrent laryngeal nerve between aorta and between pulmonary trunk, due to left backside of left atrium. The left atrium hypertrophy occurs, left atrium size increases due to compression of left recurrent laryngeal nerve. It causes hoarseness of voice. In mitral stenosis, a wall is stiff and it is not able to open properly during the phase of diastole when the heart relaxes. That's why we listen here diastolic murmur. Diastolic murmur. The diastolic murmur listen best at apex of heart, fifth intercostal space, mid clavicular region. Okay, hope it's clear. We develop the patient develop dyspnea, even pulmonary edema, shortness of breath, orthopnea due to back pressure, and patient have a high chance of formation of embolus and distress which can cause a stroke as a complication. But these are complications are rare due to left atrium enlargement. We see here atrial fibrillation treatment by digoxin or by warfarin we can use. Even in case of pregnancy, when medical treatment is failed, then we go for valvoplasty, okay, and balloon valvoplasty. And the best uh, treatment is reduction of preload reduced by decreased sodium, and give diuretics. Remember the mnemonic: in diastolic murmur we give diuretic DDD. Okay, I hope it's clear. Now move on next topic. Now mitral regurgitation. Primary cause is ischemia. Mitral regurgitation primary cause is ischemia. Even in dilated cardiomyopathy, primary cause is ischemia. Okay, or infarction leading to dilatation. Dilation separates valve leaflets. When there is dilation, it separates the valve leaflet. Left ventricular dilation is primary cause, and left ventricular dilation will be behind the primary symptoms: significant CHF, congestive heart failure, symptoms dyspnea, fatigue, orthopnea, pulmonary edema, and S3 sound on auscultation. S1 and S2 is a normal sound. S1 sound produced when mitral and tricuspid valve closes. S2 sound produces when aortic and pulmonary valve closes. And during the time of opening of mitral and tricuspid valve, the sound produces is S3. That is physiological in some cases also, like in pregnancy. This S3 is physiological. Okay, murmur will be systolic here, and blood flows regurgitates back through the incompetent valve during systole, specifically hollow systolic murmur. This hollow systolic murmur, except mitral regurgitation, we also seen in tricuspid regurgitation or in case of VSD, ventricular septal defects. Okay, why systolic murmur? Because during the time of systole, when the heart contracts, the blood from ventricle, it moves in aorta, and some amount of blood reverse back in a left atrium also, due to valve regurgitations, due to any infarction, or we can say ischemia, which are responsible for mitral regurgitation. So there is mixing of blood. So during the time of systole, this process happens. That's why we can say this is an systolic murmur, hollow systolic. Acute cause is rupture of chorda tendineae. The ischemia and infarction is a chronic case. We can treat even conservatively, but acute cause is rupture of chorda tendineae. which is an emergency. Look for in post MI patient 2-5 days roughly. If patient had history of MI and after MI 2 days, 3 days, 4 days or 5 days patient develops sudden rapid onset of dyspnea, so you have to rule out the rupture of chorda tendineae, get immediate echo and send off to surgery. In acute case, if these symptoms develop, we do immediate surgery. Immediate surgery is needed. Okay, now in mitral regurgitation, how to diagnose? If patient comes in OPD, then history is important, like previous MI, systolic congestive heart failure, ischemia or infarction. Not only in mitral regurgitation, guys, but any kind of disease. When patient come in front of you, ask, is he had any kind of drug allergy, or he is taking any kind of drug or medication, or he had any kind of surgeries, and he is suffering from any chronic disease. This is a gold standard to rule out cause. Okay, symptoms: dyspnea, shortness of breath, orthopnea, pulmonary edema. Patient systolic murmur appreciated best at apex, S3 heart sound, wheezing, rales, bronchi, and JVD. Initial test is echocardiography. Initial best investigation of choice in mitral valve regurgitation is echocardiography. Also order EKG and chest X-ray, but the best accurate test is cardiac catheterization. But we are not advised cardiac catheterization more often. Okay. Treatment in emergent cases or acute cases: if post MI patient, we do surgery, or we can use diuretics furosemide when the patient is waiting for surgery. In non-emergent or chronic cases, after load reduction, we do by nitrates, nitroglycerin, AC inhibitors, even uh, beta agonist also reduces after load. And what else reduces? Digoxin, dobutamine. Atrial fibrillation, we can use digoxin and warfarin. Surgery when there is left ventricular ejection fraction less than 60%, or left ventricular SD ESD more than 45 millimeter. Does not require antibiotic prophylaxis here. So guys, I already finished about mitral regurgitation. If you have any queries, any question regarding this, you can ask me. And if you new on my channel, please subscribe it. And if you like this video, put like on it. Thank you. Good day. Goodbye. That's all for today.